Hey there! Welcome back to English 101. I'm Emily, and today I'll be talking to you about something super important: how to get ready for a job interview. I'll share my tips, my story, and everything I've learned. So, let's imagine it's the night before your big interview. What do? Let's walk through it, step by step. Last year, I applied for a job at a company that really interested me. I was both nervous and excited because I wanted to make a good impression. Preparing for a job interview can feel scary, especially if English is not your first language. But I've learned that the key is preparation. The first thing I did was research the company. I visited their website and read about their mission, their values, and the kind of work they do. I also checked their social media to see how they communicate with the public. Understanding the company's tone helps you speak their language in the interview. Next, I looked at the job description very carefully. I tried to understand exactly what they were looking for in a candidate. Were they looking for someone organized, creative, a good team player? I highlighted the key words from the job post and matched them with my own experiences. This helped me get ready to explain why I was a great fit. Then I made a list of the most common interview questions. Questions like, "Tell me about yourself," "Why do you want to work here?" or "What are your strengths and weaknesses?" I practiced answering them out loud. It felt strange at first, talking to myself in my room, but it really helped me get comfortable with my answers. For example, when they asked, "Tell me about yourself," I didn't just list my resume. Instead, I told a short story about who I am. I said, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a creative and positive person who loves helping others solve problems. I studied marketing and I've worked in digital media for 2 years. I love learning and trying new things." It was short but showed my personality and experience. I practiced that answer until it sounded natural. For the question, "Why do you want to work here?" I had to show that I cared about the company. I said, "I admire your company's creativity and the way you support young professionals. I believe in your mission, and I'd love to be part of a team that values growth and teamwork." To prepare for what are your strengths, I picked 3: communication, organization, and adaptability. For each one, I shared a real example. For instance, for communication, I said, "In my last job, I managed a project with 5 team members in 3 different locations. I organized weekly video calls and made sure everyone stayed updated." For what is your weakness, I didn't just say something negative. I said, "I used to struggle with saying no to extra work, but I've learned to set boundaries and manage my time better." That showed honesty and growth. After I practiced answering questions, I prepared my own questions for them. This is something many people forget, but it's important. I plan to ask, "What does a typical day look like in this role?" And "How do you support professional development?" This shows that I'm curious and serious about the job. Then I prepared my outfit. I chose a simple, professional look, a clean blouse and dark pants. Even though it was an online interview, I wanted to look confident and respectful. I tested my internet connection, camera, and microphone the day before. I also cleaned up the background behind me so it looked nice and calm. After getting the job, I thought back to the interview process and everything I learned. One of the biggest lessons was how important preparation really is. Even if you're qualified, if you don't show your strengths clearly, The interviewer won't know how good you are. Practice gives you that confidence. You don't need to memorize everything, but it helps to have structure and examples ready in your mind. That way, you can answer naturally without panicking. One trick I use is recording myself while I practice. I listen to my answers and check how I sound. Do I sound confident? Do I use the right words? It helps me fix little mistakes before the real interview. Another tip: practice with a friend or a teacher. Let them ask you real questions and give you feedback. I also learned that your body language matters, even on video. I try to sit up straight, smile, and look into the camera. This shows I'm engaged and respectful. Crossing your arms or looking away too often can make you seem disinterested. Even when I'm nervous, I try to keep my voice calm and steady. Breathing deeply helps. When it comes to describing your experience, stories are powerful. Instead of just saying, "I'm responsible," tell a story that shows it. For example, in my last job, my manager was away for a week, and I had to lead the team during an important project. I made a schedule, organized tasks, and helped everyone stay on track. We finished the project on time, and my manager thanked me for keeping everything running smoothly. That kind of answer is real and memorable. Interviewers will remember your stories more than just a list of qualities. Another important part of interview preparation is knowing your resume well. Every line on your resume should have a story behind it. Be ready to talk about your past jobs, internships, or school projects in detail. Don't just copy what's on paper. Explain it with enthusiasm. Also, don't be afraid to talk about challenges. Everyone faces problems. What matters is how you solve them. Maybe you had a conflict with a coworker or had to work under pressure. Share what happened and how you handled it with maturity. That shows professionalism. Sometimes interviewers ask unexpected questions, like, "What book are you reading?" Or, "If you were an animal, what would you be?" These are not tricks. They just want to see your personality and how you think. Answer with honesty and creativity. Now let's talk about virtual interviews. These are very common now, and they bring new challenges. Make sure your internet is stable. Test your camera and microphone ahead of time. Use headphones if possible, to avoid echo or noise. Choose a quiet place with good lighting. If the interview is at night, use a desk lamp to make your face visible. Avoid sitting in front of windows because strong light behind you can make your face hard to see. Have a neutral background, not too busy or distracting. A plain wall, a bookshelf, or a curtain is fine. Dress like it's a real interview. Even if you're home, don't wear pajamas. It helps your mindset to dress professionally. Keep your phone on silent and ask others in your home not to disturb you. Write a sticky note on your screen that says, "Smile," or "Speak slowly," as a reminder. One thing I love doing before a virtual interview is opening a Zoom call with myself. I check how I look, adjust the angle, and make sure my posture is good. During the call, I always try to stay positive, even if I make a mistake. If I forget a word, I just pause, take a breath, and say, "Sorry, let me say that again." That's totally okay. Most interviewers understand that people get nervous. It's your attitude that matters more than perfection. Be polite, thank them for their questions, and listen carefully. When they ask if you have any questions, always say yes. Even simple questions show you're curious. Ask things like, What qualities make someone successful in this position? Or, what do you enjoy about working here? These questions open the conversation and show your interest. It makes you stand out. One thing I never forget: interviews are two-way conversations. You're not only trying to get the job, you're also trying to see if the company is right for you. So, be honest about what you're looking for. If the company values match yours, the job will feel much better. Finally, after every interview, I write notes. I write what went well, what I forgot, and what I can improve. This helps me for the next time. Every interview, even if you don't get the job, is a chance to learn. Growth comes from experience. So, if you're preparing for an interview now, just remember, you are more capable than you think. Sometimes before an interview, I take a short walk. Fresh air helps me clear my mind and calm my nerves. I also avoid caffeine right before the interview because it can make me more anxious. Instead, I drink water and take a few deep breaths to feel balanced. Staying calm helps me think better and speak more clearly. Another tip I learned is to visualize success. I close my eyes and imagine myself in the interview, smiling, speaking clearly, and answering confidently. This mental preparation makes a huge difference. It's like athletes who imagine themselves winning before the game starts. Let's talk more about answering questions. One of the most common questions is, tell me about yourself. This is your chance to shine. Start with a short summary of your background, your strengths, and your goals. Keep it clear and positive. For example, you might say, I studied business management and worked in customer service for 2 years. I enjoy working with people, solving problems, and learning new things. I'm now looking for a role where I can grow and contribute to a dynamic team. That's short, friendly, and focused. Avoid going too far back in time or sharing personal stories that aren't relevant. The goal is to show why you're a great fit. When they ask about your strengths, be specific. Don't just say, I'm organized. Instead, say, I use a digital calendar to manage tasks, set reminders, and meet deadlines. At my last job, I handled customer calls while keeping detailed records of every interaction. That paints a clear picture. And when they ask about weaknesses, don't panic. Choose something real, but not critical. For example, I used to get nervous during presentations, but I've been practicing by joining speaking groups, and I've become much more confident. That shows growth and honesty. Sometimes they'll ask about teamwork. Share a real example of working with others, solving a conflict, or helping someone. Maybe you helped a teammate finish a project, or you listened to a customer's problem and found a solution together. Show that you're cooperative and positive. Other questions might be, why do you want this job? Or, where do you see yourself in 5 years? These questions are about your motivation. Do a little research about the company before the interview. Mention something specific you like their mission, culture, or recent projects. For example, I admire your focus on innovation and customer satisfaction. I'd love to be part of a team that values creativity and growth. That shows you did your homework. 5-year plans don't need to be perfect. Just show that you're ambitious. Say something like, I hope to grow in this field, take on more responsibility, and become a team leader. That's clear and professional. Remember, even if your English isn't perfect, that's okay. What matters is your effort, your attitude, and your ability to communicate clearly. Speak slowly, use simple words, and pause if needed. If you don't understand a question, it's okay to ask, "Could you please repeat that?" Or, "I'm not sure I understand. Could you explain it another way?" That shows you care about answering well. During one of my interviews, I was asked a question I didn't expect. I paused for a second and said, "That's a good question. Let me think for a moment." Then I gave my answer. Interviewers appreciate when you take time to think. You don't need to rush. Confidence doesn't mean having all the answers. It means staying calm, being honest, and doing your best. Even if you make a mistake, don't apologize too much. Just keep going. One interviewer told me later, "We liked your attitude. You were calm, honest, and showed that you care." That made me realize how powerful the small things are. Another important part of interviews is showing appreciation. Always say, "Thank you for this opportunity," at the beginning or end. After the interview, it's a good idea to send a follow-up message or email. Just a few lines to thank them for their time and remind them of your interest. For example, "Thank you for the interview today. It was a pleasure speaking with you about the position. I'm excited about the possibility of joining your team." This small gesture leaves a good impression. It shows professionalism and good manners. Sometimes you won't get the job, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means something better is waiting. I've had many interviews where I didn't get the offer, but I kept learning. Every no helped me grow and improve. Celebrate small wins, like getting a call back or finishing an interview without freezing. Each step is progress. Don't compare your journey to others. Focus on your growth. Practice is key. The more interviews you do, the easier it gets. You'll start to recognize the patterns, common questions, and how to tell your story better. Keep a notebook where you write down interview questions you hear, your answers, and what worked well. Review it before your next interview. You can even record your own mock interviews and listen later to find areas for improvement. It's like training your brain and voice. If English is your second language, take extra time to practice pronunciation. Listen to podcasts, watch interviews, and repeat phrases out loud. Shadowing native speakers is a great technique. Repeat after them to learn rhythm and tone. Also, expand your vocabulary with professional words. Learn how to describe your tasks, skills, and goals using words used in real workplaces. You can practice phrases like, "I was responsible for," "I collaborated with a team to," "I learned how to manage deadlines and priorities." These phrases help you sound fluent and confident. Write them down, say them often. They'll become part of your natural speech. Let's talk about what to do after an interview. When the interview is over, take a few minutes to reflect. Think about what went well and what could be improved. Write down any questions they asked that were hard to answer. This helps you prepare better for the next time. Some people feel disappointed if they don't get a reply soon. But don't worry. Sometimes companies take a few days, even weeks, to make a decision. Use that waiting time to stay active. Keep applying for other jobs. Keep practicing. Don't stop moving forward. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you step into an interview, you grow a little more. You can also ask for feedback. If you didn't get the job, send a kind message like, "Thank you for the opportunity. If possible, I'd appreciate any feedback to help me improve." Not everyone will reply, but if they do, it's valuable advice. Let's review some key interview tips. Research the company. Practice common questions. Dress professionally. Arrive on time. Stay calm and positive. Answer clearly and honestly. Ask your own smart questions. Thank the interviewer. Follow up with a short email. Remember, job interviews are not just about testing you. They're also your chance to learn if this company is right for you. Is the team respectful? Are the goals clear? Do you feel welcome? Trust your instincts. Sometimes, the best decision is to say no. If something feels wrong, or if the role doesn't match your values, it's okay to move on. Your career is a long journey. Choose the path that fits you. Imagine yourself walking into the interview room. Your shoulders are relaxed, your smile is warm, and your voice is steady. You introduce yourself with confidence. You answer questions clearly. You share your story with pride. Even if you feel nervous inside, you keep going. That's what courage looks like. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Let's also remember that interviews are not about being perfect. They're about being real. Show who you are. Be authentic. That's what people connect with. You don't need to speak fancy English. You need to speak clearly, respectfully, and with purpose. People will listen to you if you speak from the heart. Sometimes interviewers will test your reaction. They might ask tricky questions like, "Why should we hire you?" Or, "What makes you different from other candidates?" Don't panic. Prepare for these questions by thinking about your unique value. Maybe it's your attitude, your skills, your background, or your willingness to learn. Share something meaningful. For example, "I believe I bring a unique mix of strong communication, adaptability, and commitment. I may not know everything yet, but I'm always eager to learn and support my team." That shows honesty, humility, and motivation. These are powerful traits. During one of my interviews, the interviewer asked, "What motivates you to work?" I said, "Helping others, growing personally, and feeling that my work makes a difference." That was a true answer. Think about your why. Why do you want this job? Why do you want to improve? Why do you keep trying? Your answers to those questions will give you strength. Another tip: smile when you speak. Even on phone interviews, smiling changes your tone. It makes you sound more friendly, more confident, and more open. Try it. Also, use open body language if the interview is in person. Sit up straight. Make eye contact. Use your hands naturally. Nod when listening. These signs show that you're engaged. Let's talk briefly about phone and video interviews. These are common now. For phone interviews, find a quiet place with good reception. Use headphones if possible. Have your notes ready. For video interviews, check your lighting, background, and internet. Dress as you would for an in-person interview. Look into the camera, not the screen. This creates better eye contact. Always test your tech before the interview. Make sure your microphone works and your internet is stable. Being prepared shows respect. Now, let's look at one final trick: storytelling. When they ask questions like, "Tell me about a time you faced a challenge," use the STAR method. That stands for situation, task, action, result. For example, "I was working on a team project, situation, and our deadline was moved up by 2 days, task. I suggested a new plan to divide the work more efficiently, Action. We finished on time and received praise from our manager. Result. This is how you make your answers clear and powerful. Practice telling stories from your work or studies using this method. It helps you stay focused and confident. Interviews can change your life. One good interview can open a new chapter in your career. But don't wait for luck. Prepare, practice, and stay positive. Even if it feels hard now, keep going. Your future is worth it. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals. You're capable. You're strong. You're growing every day. And one day soon, you'll walk into that room, shake hands, and say, "Thank you for this opportunity. I'm ready." And you will be ready. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, English 101. We publish daily listening practice for learners around the world. Leave a comment below and tell us, what's your biggest interview fear, and how do you plan to overcome it? Let's grow together.